Hello, Ramley and other NFL family. We are talking Rams tonight. Yes, I am going to be joined shortly by Rams Insider. We're going to have a fun time. We have a couple of topics to discuss about Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, training camp in general. And of course, we got to take comments and questions from you, the viewer, in the chat. So make sure to say hello, say where you're watching from tonight. We're going to have a great night ahead of us, and we'll be talking Rams right after this. Yes, here we are, Rams Insider. Welcome to the show. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. I haven't been on this channel in a long time, and I guess you could say off the grid, I guess, but I came back about a month ago. I've been progressing up with everything that's going on in the news and everything, and the channel's been going up like crazy, and I'm just excited to be back and for another collab.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And if you are watching here, the link to Rams Insider's channel is in the description below. So make sure you go give him a sub. And we got to give some shout outs here. We got Grandizer12 in the chat. Thanks for reminding people about the upcoming charity live stream, September 8th. We got Tribe in here. How's it going, Tribe? He's saying, what's up? What's good, Rams Insider?
What's up, Tribe?
And I see we have some other people coming on in. If you could hit that like button, it would be awesome. We got Rival Comics. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while, everyone. Oh, we got Jared Ramirez. Oh, all the elite crew are coming out tonight. That's awesome. Appreciate you all tuning on in. But we're gonna start our conversation, and then as we see comments and questions in the chat, we will address them. But Rams Insider, let's start off. We got to talk about what everyone's talking about. It seems, and I'm curious on your take. I know my take, but let's see if we're on the same page with it. But what are your thoughts and what's your concern level about Matthew Stafford's injury, his elbow injury?
So I did look on Twitter for this a lot because I know a lot of people, not even the Rams Twitter page, but a lot of people that are just fans or the NFL media page, they did talk about how Matthew Stafford was trying to downplay his injury by saying that it wasn't that big of a concern and that he was actually getting irritated when people would ask him about his elbow injury. So I think that is a big cause for concern because, one, even if it's a major or minor injury, it's still an injury at the end of the day. So you want to evaluate whether or not your injury is a cause of concern, which in his case, him being the starting quarterback, his age, he gets injured almost majority of the times he gets hit on field. That is a major cause for concern. And the fact that we diagnosed him with bad tendinitis, that's also a huge cause for concern because I know people personally that do have bad tendinitis and it hurts. It's not something that's easy to get rid of. So when you try and downplay an injury like that, with a modified approach in practice or not, it's still something that you need to look into. And my opinion on the videos I've made about his injury is that I want him to play less in practice because you've seen the bombs that he's thrown to Tutu Atwell, those practices, that's when his arm was still and his elbow was still in the injury phase. So I don't want him to practice as much as he would if he was not injured, if that makes sense. I want him to be less, at least give us time to evaluate his elbow first, and then we'll get a modified approach like Sean McVay said for his practice.
No, and that's a fair take, and I've seen some other members of the Ram fandom that are kind of more on that side of caution. I have to be honest with you, I do have a bit of a different opinion on it. I'm not overly concerned for the sole reason of that the Rams have been monitoring this injury since he got the procedure in the spring. It's not like this is a big surprise. I think it's just more being highlighted now because he is at training camp and there's more cameras on him. There's more reporters in the building. I also think that Stafford, being a veteran player that he is, who's dealt with numerous injuries throughout his entire career, including last season with this elbow, he's played through the pain. And when Sean McVay expanded upon it, he said that they were hoping that they could have made the pain less through this procedure that happened. And it sounds like it maybe didn't go exactly as planned. But like you said, we're seeing him throwing bombs to Tutu in practice, which is exciting. And it sounds like he is throwing less than he normally would. Mm-hmm. And I also have faith in the Rams medical staff, and I really think that there's going to be some positive news, and I'm not overly concerned about this injury based on the information that we have right now. But let us know in the chat, what's your concern level at for this? We have a couple of we gotta give a big shout out here to SM, and he's saying, "Whose house?
Rams house, baby."
Yeah, Rams house. Grand Night, good to see you, John, from Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. Always a pleasure. And Naren, good to see you. Thank you for asking. To be determined about Rams Breakfast Club, but I appreciate someone asking about that.
I wonder when that's going to come back to. I was a fan of Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. I've been mainly focused on the charity live stream. I haven't. It'll be back. Just not sure how or when, but it will be back. Yeah, I see Rivals. He's hoping Stafford is good. Not concerned about Stafford, just precautionary. But I guess the question is, so and one of the criticisms I hear, and so say Stafford did miss time. What are your thoughts on our backup quarterback situation with John Wilford and Bryce Perkins?
I'm not the most confident in either of them, but if I had to go with one of them, I would go with Bryce Perkins, because I think that Bryce Perkins is more athletic than John Wilford. And I think when it comes to your decision-making and your accuracy, I also think that Bryce Perkins is on a higher scale than John Wilford is. Obviously, we've seen John Wilford play more, but the last time I've seen John Wilford play, he was almost unconscious from when he got hit in the head by Jamal Adams. And the pattern that he's making mistakes in, it's not a good look for him. It's not a good look for the Rams. It's not even a good look for the quarterback room. So I think you need to make your decisions on a scale where we're playing, if he wants to call it worst players, because John Wilford is quarterback number 2. So we're playing worst players, but we're playing at a safer level. I want to play at a safe level where I know, okay, Bryce Perkins, he may not be as accurate as John Wilford, but he's more athletic than him. I know Bryce Perkins can run. I know Bryce Perkins can slide. I know that he's able to get downfield without having to throw the ball and make an interception, possibly if he's getting rushed, if he's getting sacked, throwing it out of the pocket, all those types of things that are dangerous when it comes to throwing the ball away. And I want to see Bryce Perkins more than John Wilford. I just think that Bryce Perkins has more talent because of his athleticism.
Yeah, and I definitely think there's an argument for that athleticism there. I am curious. I'll be honest. John Wilford is one of the most curious backup quarterbacks in the NFL, because he was selling insurance, and then he got signed as an undrafted free agent to the Rams, and he was able to beat out Blake Bortles, who had playoff experience for the backup role. So I'm always quick to give John Wilford props for that. And the fact that when Jared Goff did get benched for John Wilford, like that happened.
That did happen.
And so I'm always curious with that. But you're right that from what we've seen of Wilford, which isn't a lot, we don't necessarily we haven't seen enough to have confidence in him. And so the physical nature of Perkins, you like that upside. I agree with that. But I don't know. I'm one of those people, obviously, I'm hoping that we don't have to see either of our backup quarterbacks. We're hoping Stafford is healthy and he's tried. Just put a sleeve on it. Stafford.
Put a sleeve on
it. Yeah. Oh, too funny. Hey, Johnny G. Yeah, that Rams Bills. What are your thoughts on that Rams Bills game, Rams Insider?
When I saw it, I thought first thing that we're gonna lose. I'm sorry, that's the first thing I saw when I saw the schedule. I saw week 1 Bills. There's no way we're winning that game. That's just me though.
We're totally winning that game.
I got scared when I saw that game. And we're the first game of the season. That's just not. It's not a good look. I think that Josh Allen, even though I'm not a Bills fan, I really want to see Josh Allen win. I really want to see him win. I'm a fan of Josh Allen. I like Stephon Diggs, just not even nearly as much as Josh Allen. I don't want the Bills to win because that's pretty obvious why. But I don't want to see Josh lose. So that's why it's so hard for me to, okay, obviously I want the Rams to win because I'm a Rams fan, but I want to see Josh win because of how much I like Josh. So it's kind of hard, but I thought we were going to lose when I first looked at it.
Yeah, Nair and I both agree. Rams are winning that week 1. Yeah.
I do have confidence, though.
Hello, Dremick Smith, the M&M Mix fan. Good to see you. Quick question here from Rival Comics is thoughts on OBJ? What are your thoughts?
I want him back. I really do. I want to see Odell back in the Rams uniform. And the fact that Sean McVay and Cooper Kupp on their LA Rams YouTube channel, they were saying that they were trying to get him back multiple times, and they had interest in him. The Rams team itself had interest in him. The staff had interest in him. Everybody on that Rams team has interest in getting Odell back on the team. But I haven't seen a lot from what Odell's side of it is. I never saw any tweets of saying, okay, I want to be back in Rams jersey, or if they. No, I did see like tweets like if I get paid enough, because that's how Odell's always been. But I do know that they're interested in Odell. But I'm not sure if Odell is interested in the Rams as much as they're interested in him. So that could go both ways. But at the same time, do I want him back? Of course, he was really good in the few games that he had with us. So imagine what he could do in a full season.
Yeah. Well, and I stand by my theory, and I always have to caveat this is totally my theory. I don't have any insider information or anything. That this is just my own optimistic brain dream thing of what I think has happened, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I could be completely right, and then you heard it here first. I truly do believe that Odell has a handshake agreement already with the Rams, because Odell he tore his ACL in the Super Bowl. His timeline to come back, the earliest he could play is probably November. And Odell being on the Rams roster right now doesn't really serve too much of a purpose. Besides putting it would take up a roster spot. You'd have to play around with that. But him being at camp outside of rehabbing wouldn't serve us too much. And I think that the Rams have some sort of handshake agreement. And they'll probably include some nice bonus guaranteed money because he was willing to do this. And I think the Rams PR department, they're going to come up with this nice, storyline of Odell being this hero that comes in late in the season. And so, yeah, I expect Odell to be back with the Rams, and there'll be a really fun PR cycle to go with it. That's my theory. I have nothing to back it up other than my own optimism.
I agree. I think that if you're saying this out loud, that you want him back, you're interested in getting him back, there's pretty much a high chance that he's probably realistically already back there, just not with a contract.
Yeah, it's just unofficially, right?
Yeah, unofficially.
Well, we got lots of people coming on in. Appreciate everyone tuning on in. Hello, Carl from Uneducated Sports Talk. Should be a great game between the Bills and Rams. Absolutely. Wow, lots of people coming in here. I would love to get your thoughts on our next topic, though, here. And give me uno momentos to get back to my banners. There we go. What are your general thoughts on how Rams training camp has been going?
It's been going really good, honestly.
What have been some of your favorite highlights and moments from training camp?
So the 2 catches from Allen Robinson, especially that one-handed one, the 2 bombs that Tutu Atwell got that I feel like just came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting that. And I don't have so many highlights, but the no-look passes from Stafford, we have 2 to 3 angles on that pass, and we've seen that Allen Robinson is better than I thought he was when he came to LA. But again, you're being put in the best spot possible for Allen Robinson out of all people. And then Tutu Atwell, he didn't play last year. I didn't think he was the greatest receiver or the greatest punt returner, but this year in training camp, he's popping off he's wide receiver number 2. It's been training camp has just been really all over the place, but in a good way. And Matthew Stafford with an elbow injury still tossing no-look passes accurately. That's a good sign. Allen Robinson, one-handed catches. Tutu Atwell having the speed, just incredible speed. So he's going to be able to get downfield whenever he wants to. And I just think that a lot of the receivers and a lot of people on defense are just doing really good. They're doing better than they were. Greg Gaines, I think, is popping off a lot. Aaron Donald gets to take the day off because it's 9 years into the season, so he doesn't really have much to work on. But Greg Gaines has been a lot better. And we've seen that a lot of people on defense, Bobby Brown, and we've seen a mix of people together, working together, just being better each year. But I think it's especially the offense that's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, and I think something that maybe we aren't talking about enough is that this is Matt Stafford's second year in this system with Sean McVay calling plays, and there's something to be said about that. When a quarterback and a coach have that year too, and I think we maybe don't talk about it because they just seemed so in sync last year, especially in the playoffs. And you win the Super Bowl, you forget that your team can still get better. They can still improve.
Right.
And yeah, seeing guys like Tutu and Saronic who were rookies last year and criticized, for some poor play. And that's been noted. And the reality is Tutu had the injury, the shoulder injury that he had to recover from as well. But it's exciting to see these young players hopefully making a name for themselves, going and balling out. I think one of my favorite things about this training camp on my end has been all the conversations around Bobby Wagner and Ernest Jones as linebackers.
Yes.
That's been really, because you always love a good a master and apprentice story, right? And so with Bobby Wagner coming in as one of the greatest linebackers in NFL history, and then getting to mentor someone like Ernest Jones, that's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah, I feel like Bobby Wagner, I just feel like him and Ernest Jones there's no way that they're not the best linebacker duo when the season starts. I haven't, not off the top of my head, but I can't think about 2 linebackers or 3 linebackers together on a different team that is number one. But you have Ernest Jones, who was pretty good in his rookie year, if I'm looking at it, and then Bobby Wagner obviously being one of the best linebackers we've ever seen in the history of the NFL. Together, putting them on the same that's not even fair at that point.
Mm-hmm. I gotta give a shout out here to Jake, our resident Bills fan of this channel. He's saying chomping on some cinnamon toast crunch, listening to y'all talk about the set. Oh, Jake, we'll see you week 1, Jake. We'll see you week 1. But enjoy your cinnamon toast crunch. I love that cereal.
One of the best cereals.
We got a couple of questions from the chat coming in. Let's see here. We talked about Drix. We earlier we did talk about Stafford's injury. Rams Insider is a little more concerned than I am about it, but it is an interesting talking point. And Rams Insider, do you have any quick thoughts towards that we didn't discuss about Stafford's injury?
I would just hope that Matthew Stafford doesn't downplay it as much as I think he's going to, and I just hope he watches out. And don't try and push off the issue. Just let them do their thing.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Let's see. Naren says, I feel like Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp really benefit from each other with the way they run routes and snag the ball from Stafford. Yeah, that's a good take. I think that's something that I really truly believe is that the signing of Allen Robinson has been underestimated for this Rams team. He brings a very different skill set to this receiving room. And I've loved seeing him in camp. Like you mentioned, that's been one of the fun things, seeing Stafford and Wilford and Perkins throwing all these dimes, and then you see Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp and the other receivers catch them, and it's fun, even though it's not necessarily in an actual game.
All right, he's done more than I thought he was going to, because I didn't really like him when we were bringing him to LA, but then when I saw him do all of that in practice, I was like, okay, wait, hold on, let me back up. Let me actually evaluate Allen Robinson.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. He is a super talented wide receiver who's just always had bad quarterback play his entire NFL career. The best quarterback he's played with probably to this point, it's a debate between Blake Bortles and Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
So and I guess Trubisky wins that debate, but anyway, that's not much of a debate. Let's see here. Johnny, shout out to you. Thanks for tuning in. He's saying, how much better would the Rams be if they would have drafted Creed Humphrey instead of Tutu?
So much better.
I love how we keep talking. This is 2 years, almost 2 years later, we're talking about this still. And yeah, I think unless Tutu really does ball out and develop into a strong NFL wide receiver. It's still too early to tell, but I understand the criticism because Kareem Hunt did have an amazing rookie year with the Kansas City Chiefs as their starting center.
And we definitely needed O-line help, but we drafted a receiver. But at the same time, Juju's not bad, like to the point where it was like he's a bust. But no, I feel like we would have been a lot better if we would have drafted Kareem Hunt. But that's just me.
No, I like looking back, like if I had the time machine and I got to go and like whisper in McVay's ear, like draft me, like in a creepy little secret voice like that, I would have done it. But at the same time, I'm cheering for Tutu. I'm not like I'm not dwelling on like, oh man, Tutu's a bust. No, it's still too early to call him that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Minnesota Sports Talk. Good to see you. Saying Skull coming on in. We got Sinjin coming in. Good to see you as well. Our Seahawks fan. Okay, we got some interesting things here. Let's see. Our next question, and I got to caveat this a little bit. We got to talk about Cooper Kupp. I know we talk about Cooper Kupp a lot. I just got his jersey last week, which I'm very thankful for. Cooper Kupp is becoming, I think, one of the fan favorite players in Rams history. And he's someone that you can't not cheer for on and off the field. But recently he was interviewed by I Am Athlete, and Brandon Marshall, he said to him, he's like, I want you to give me a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL list right now. And he told him he had to include himself. And so he made a list. But then he like stole his list back, and he took himself off of the list. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, I'm sorry, like he just in the Cooper Kupp, the most humble way. He was quick to praise his fellow, star wide receivers in the NFL, and he did talk about how his strengths as a wide receiver, there's other receivers that are, more physically gifted than him or they're better at certain aspects of it. But he talked about how he's really worked hard to make DB's lives hard. And he kind of wins between the ears. And yeah, I loved, yourself, Rams Insider, and anyone in the chat. What are your thoughts on just Cooper Kupp's rise to he was always a good player. This year he turned into a superstar player. Mm-hmm. And now, like, when you see him, the way he conducts himself off the field, that's how you want any of your star players to act. But yeah, Rams Insider, I know you're a pretty new Rams fan still. What are your thoughts on Cooper Kupp and just his approach to the game?
I think that he's very much one of the most humble players in the entire league. And the fact that somebody like Justin Jefferson was, I guess you could call it trash talking, but he was saying that he was better than Cooper in every aspect. And Cooper's only words was, I respectfully disagree.
Yeah.
That's all he said. That's all he said. I respectfully disagree. It just like, not even like, oh yeah, no, he's not better than me. He's not, I'm better than him. Like he said, I respectfully disagree. That like you would never hear anyone else in the league say that. Everybody else wants to trash talk. They want to insult them, whatever they can. And then for Cooper to take himself off the top 5 list, that's who else would do that? Like nobody else would do that.
Well, especially after he just won the Triple Crown and had, arguably one of the greatest receiver in seasons ever, right?
and they still didn't give him a 99 overall in Madden. That I just don't understand.
Yeah, Madden.
and I'll still buy it though.
Yeah. Oh man, I haven't bought a Madden game in years, but I still have a PS2 and GameCube, so that's how old I am. Let's see here. We got a couple of great comments coming in here in the chat. Naren, having Troy Hill back has been great. It's like he's never left. And yeah, I like. First off, Rams Insider, I know that you kind of became a Rams fan. Was Troy Hill still with the Rams when you were a fan of them, or? It might have been just as he was leaving.
When I started the channel, it was when he was leaving. But when I started becoming like a genuine, like general Rams fan in general, it was when we lost the Super Bowl in 2018. But when I started the channel, I think he was like leaving at the same time.
Oh yeah. So like similar thing. So the thing I love about this Troy Hill trade, that back to the draft, that again, one of the smartest moves by this Rams front office this season is, so Troy Hill, we had to let him walk. He got a big, huge contract from the Cleveland Browns, and then like 2 years later, Darius Williams leaves to the Rams. We need another corner, and we trade a 5th-round pick to get him back, and the Browns are still paying him. And it's just like, it's moves like that like the Rams got a starting caliber corner who we're familiar with, even though the defensive scheme is a little bit different than when he was last year. But there's an argument to be made that Troy Hill was an upgrade over Darius Williams last year, and that's exciting.
I agree with that. I don't think that Darius Williams is better than Troy Hill, but I've seen too many clips of Darius Williams messing up, getting burnt. He's let receivers get open, and then Troy Hill, he's been really good with the Rams. Like he's been really good. First of all, he has a lot of chemistry with the Rams. That's number one. 2, you already know Sean McVay. You know the play style of the Rams. You don't have to go back in and act like you're a completely new player. You know the playbook well enough to where you can just, okay, let me look over this real quick, and I already know what I'm looking at. He knows the defense. He knows majority of the players on the defense, more than 90% of them. And the fact that you're coming back to an even better Rams team, he's being put in an amazing situation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We got some great questions coming in here that we're gonna take from the chat. Appreciate everyone tuning in. If you could smash that like button, and we appreciate you whether you're watching live or on the replay. Jake is asking, what is your metric for a successful season? Wins, playoff wins, Super Bowl, how the team plays, and what would a successful season be for the Rams? Yeah, that's a great question, Jake. I'm thinking of my response. I haven't really thought about this, because we won the Super Bowl last year. So right. Is it only successful if you win the Super Bowl again? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
It doesn't have to be if you win the Super Bowl. Making it to the Super Bowl, that's successful in Excel. I think for me, a successful season would be at the very minimum getting to the divisional round. I want to be able to get into the playoffs. First round bye or not. If you can't even get past the wild card, I think that's a little bit of a downfall. I don't think that means, at least in my eyes, you're not quite good enough to make it through the playoffs, but you're good enough to just make it into the playoffs. Your team is just good enough, and you're building more and more. But if you make it to the wild card one year, let's say we make it to the wild card this season, and then the season after that, we don't even make the playoffs. We weren't very successful in either season because we just made it to the first round and then instantly lost. I think a good season for the Rams is making it to the divisional round, and then if we can beat whatever team is in the divisional, then I think we've gone far past a successful season. We're just building towards the Super Bowl. And if we get to the Super Bowl and lose, I still think we had a successful season because only 2 teams make it to the Super Bowl, obviously, and we were able to be one of those 2 teams.
Yeah, and like I think there's so many variables that go into an NFL season, such as injury concerns, what happens when a player comes out of nowhere and just has a big game that you didn't see coming from another team or our team. Mm-hmm. I personally think that the measure of success, when it's different for each team, but I'm really thankful that we can have this conversation as a fandom, that our expectation is to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. And that's a blessing, right? Because you don't want to be a team like the Jaguars that's we're hoping to win 5 games. That's not fun. That's not like if you're like, oh man, I'd be so happy if my team made the playoffs. I remember being in that headspace back when the Rams had some really low years. Yeah. And so it's exciting, and I'm thankful that we can celebrate a team that has Super Bowl aspirations to it. And honestly, I think for me, as long as this team plays up to the potential of this team, that's what I want to see. Where if we made it to the playoffs and we lost to another good team, I'm okay with that. But if we made it to the playoffs and then just laid an egg or something like that I don't want to see that, because the reality is once you get to the playoffs, you never know what's going to happen. You never know, right? Because it's one game and you're done.
There's so many upsets that happen in the playoffs too. You never think a team is going to win, and then they just wind up winning.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I still think back to last year, like the Bengals upsetting the Titans, then upsetting the Chiefs, right? Like that's just sort of like stuff like that happens, right? And I think that like if you talk to like Chiefs fans last year or Bills fans, yeah, Jake, I know you're in the chat, like talk about heartbreaking, like to lose in that fashion, but I still wouldn't say the Bills had a failure of a season last year.
No, they didn't.
Jolando Butterfield tuning in from the Turks and Casco Islands. Can we expect Nick Scott to improve and remain that heavy hitter? I can't get enough of him laying out AJ Green and Debo. Yeah.
I do remember that. He just straight up just flatlined Debo in that play. I still remember that.
That was one of those plays that you see it on screen, you feel it, right?
You feel that.
Yeah.
Just like I remember the Titans versus the Rams game when we lost, though. It was like the second quarter, someone just came up behind a Titans receiver, just bashed him right in the spine. I was like, whoa. I felt that.
Yeah. Well, Jolando, I'm glad you're tuning in, and Nick Scott is someone that really only Rams fan talk about. So we're gonna obviously give him his props. He's been a cool player to watch because he's continuing to get better, and I actually think he's someone that's poised to have one of the best seasons of his career next year. How's it going, Momentum Canada? Good to see you, Brandon. Another question here from Jake: would Kupp be as good on another team without McVay? I don't think he'd be bad, but I think the way McVay uses him makes him elite. Good question.
Yeah, I don't think Cooper would be as great as he is if he wasn't on the Rams. Definitely not, because how many players have you seen that are so good on one team and then they go to another team and you're like, who is this guy? Like how many times have you seen that? It's like almost every season you see a completely elite player swap teams and then like, I don't know who that is. Like he's just completely died down.
Yeah. There definitely is there is a scheme to it. I do think having like Kupp is probably like one of the highlights of this Rams coaching staff developing a player. Right? He was a 3rd round pick out of a small school, and I think that they were able to find out, Cooper Kupp has a crazy work ethic. He's got really good hands. We can work with that. And like from the moment he came in as a rookie, you knew he belonged in the NFL. He definitely he didn't look at a place being on an NFL field. But I think what has helped him elevate is working with guys like Sean McVay, Robert Woods, and many different coaching staff members, and helping him really take his game to the next level because of that football IQ, right? And when you have an organization that surrounds your star players with guys with high football IQ, I think that's what takes them to that next level. But Jake, so I think I might agree with you that if he were on another team with another, a coaching staff that didn't maybe challenge him and appreciate his work ethic for what it is, maybe he wouldn't be as good.
Plus, he's the receiver number 1. Some teams might have used him as receiver number 2, 3, 4, even 5.
Yeah, like that's the other thing. You have to have an OC that's smart enough to use him in a variety of ways, like the Rams do. Yeah,
like Robert Woods.
Yeah, exactly. Willie, good to see you as always, my friend. Thanks for tuning on in. So happy Rams football is coming back really soon. The NFL offseason is so dreadful compared to everything. Yeah, it's been a grind. Oh, we got lots of people coming in. Here's a great question here from Caden. Good to see you, Caden. What do you guys think the Rams record will be this season? I just tuned in. Well, thanks for tuning in, Caden. And Rams Insider, I'll give you your thoughts first.
Oh, yeah, I'll answer this because I know Caden personally. So, Caden, I think the Rams record is going to be, so what do we have, 17 games now? With the way it's looking, 15 and 2, maybe 14-3. I don't want to say like, oh, we're gonna go 17-0 because clearly we're not. Like we have too many. No team is gonna do that. The last time that time was decades ago. I think that a realistic expectation for the LA Rams, being that we just came off a Super Bowl win, being that we just came off of having one of the best defenses, we re-signed majority of our players, and we have Jalen Ramsey coming back from surgery, and our defense has just gotten a lot better. Maybe 14-3, 15-2. I really don't think we're going to lose that many games. But then I looked at the schedule, and there are certain games that I am not the most confident in, but I don't feel like we're going to lose. The only game I'm confident that we're going to have a very hard time in is week 1, even though I think that, you have so many people on the Buffalo Bills defense, and Von Miller, I don't know, like, is Von Miller going to feel some type of way? That's up to him. But I definitely think that we are going to have a very good season. We're not going to lose that many games. Probably 2, 3, or 4 at max.
Yeah. I think if I like to give a floor and a ceiling, and I kind of think floor 12-5, ceiling that 15-2. So like somewhere in that range is my guess in there. But I do think this is a good football team that's going to win some games for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think Stafford will play this? Yes. Even the most pessimistic Rams fans, they have no reason to believe that he's not going to play this year. Because he hasn't even had surgery. He had a minor procedure done that still allows him to throw the football in practice. So I don't think we need to be worried about that. I think the bigger concern is how much pain is he going to be dealing with as he plays, right?
And he might push himself through that pain, which is not the greatest thing to do, but he still might do it.
Absolutely, yeah. Leonard Woodson, good to see you. He said, "Hey, fellas, great show. I am really high on Coach Ra building on the late season defensive momentum and adding Bobby Wagner. What are your expectations for this defense? I fully expect us to turn the corner." And yes, Coach Raheem Morris, definitely. I think Ram fans have been really critical of him last year because of some situational stuff that didn't go the Rams' way. But you can't argue this Rams defense played phenomenal in the playoffs, and Raheem Morris did a great job coaching them. My personal expectations are this Rams defense to be a top 5 defensive unit. I think we have the talent for it, and especially where a lot of these players are in the prime of their career. And I think our secondary will be improved. Our linebackers are definitely improved, and I expect our pass rush to be consistent. I know the loss of Von Miller was tough, but people forget the Rams were second in the league in sacks before we signed Von Miller.
We got him.
So we still have a great pass rush as long as you have Aaron Donald.
And Greg Gaines got a lot better.
Yep. I love the fastest man alive, Greg Gaines. Let's see here. A couple other questions coming in here. Appreciate everyone tuning in. That's awesome. How do you think the Rams are going to put up against the Niners? What will they do to make it a different game than they have been playing? Very interesting question, Kaden.
I don't like talking about the Niners because we lose almost every single time we play them. This is why it's so annoying to talk about them. They're so good at running against us, and we just never find a way to stop the 49ers run. It's just I don't get it. We train for the Niners. They're a division rival. They're an important game no matter where we are, what time it is, what part of the season it is. They are an important game because they're division rivals and they can beat us out into the playoffs. That is an important game no matter what our record is. We could be losing 0-14. We have to win that game. It's a must. But I think that against the Niners, you really, really have to prepare for a heavy run game. It's like going against the Ravens. You just have to really prepare for a quarterback run, a jet sweep, whatever type of run there is. I'm pretty sure the Niners are going to pull that off. And especially you have one of the best receivers in the league doing run plays. And Debo's pretty strong for a receiver. He's a very strong receiver, and you're putting up heavy run plays, and we just never seem to find a way to stop it. But this year, if we can pull off a very 4-3 based defense, that should be able to stop the Niners. But can we execute it consistently over a course of seasons?
Well, and I think like I think that we sometimes forget is the Rams were really close to beating them week 18 of last year.
Mhm.
And if it wasn't for a couple of mistakes, the Rams win that game pretty convincingly. I think that's the biggest thing that the Rams need to do is I do believe the Niners are a good team, but I do believe the Rams are better. And I think that if, right now in the state of these teams, if both teams play their best game, I think the Rams win. So I am a firm believer that we at least split with the Niners last year. You can never underestimate a team that can hog the ball and play good defense because that's always a formula to steal wins in the NFL. And the Niners probably do that as good as anybody in the NFL. So I'm optimistic we're going to at least split with the Niners this year. Oh, I would be so happy if we were able to sweep them. But I stand by. I am still high on the Rams beating them in the NFC Championship game. That felt so good last
It was
year.
a very close game, though.
So I loved it. I loved it. Let's see here. Yeah, the Bills are challenging. Lots of great things here. Well, let Rams Insider. I'm gonna star a few questions in here for our next. But could you maybe let's talk about our next segment here? Is Justin Jefferson's surgery and the depth behind him about wide receiver. So if Jefferson misses times, who would you like to see as the Rams' number 3 wide receiver?
Not Van Jefferson. If Van Jefferson's gone, Jacob Harris. Jacob Harris, I think is number one. I think he's pretty small to be a tight end. So for them to move him to wide receiver, wise choice. I didn't see how it was a good choice at first, but to have Jacob Harris coming in as a number 3 behind Van Jefferson, Jacob Harris has done pretty well as a tight end. And if you look at his college highlights when the Rams posted him when he got drafted, this guy can make some plays as a receiver. He's fast, he's agile, he has athleticism, he has big hands, and he's over 6 feet. Like, he has done really well as a receiver in college. And he could do the same thing in the NFL. He could do the same thing on the LA Rams. But can we use him as much as we've used Van Jefferson? That's another question, because Van Jefferson has done a lot. Week 1 against the Bears, the first pass play of the game was a 60, 70-yard bomb to Van Jefferson. The first pass play of the game. So if Van Jefferson can do all that, can Jacob Harris pull that off, though? He's bigger than Van Jefferson, so I would think he would be able to. Somewhat of a Kyle Pitts build. No, obviously Kyle Pitts is better, but somewhat of a Kyle Pitts build. He can pull that off. I think it would be Jacob Harris if I had to choose.
Yeah, and I think Jacob Harris, he was one of the biggest hypes about the offseason for the Rams last offseason. And unfortunately, he got injured and had to miss most of the year. But definitely someone that, the Ramley's been watching, hoping for. He's a late round draft pick with freakish athletic ability. And I agree with you that would be exciting to see a player like that and with his potential go in there. I do think there's kind of your candidates there's Brandon Powell, which is the most experienced wide receiver of the group. And, he's our return ace, and he was phenomenal as a kick and punt returner last year. And we love that Brandon Powell's back. And so he's been turning heads at camp. Then there's the guy, the rookies in Harris, Tutu Atwell, and Ben Skoranek. I think that out of those 3, it's tough to imagine Ben Skoranek. I feel like a lot of Ram fans still remember some of his key drops in the playoffs. And you can't let that deter you. He's still a young player that could develop into a great NFL wide receiver, and you hope that. But I would say that he's probably the most unlikely to get into that role. Tutu, your hope that he develops, and we've seen some beautiful highlights out of Tutu Atwell coming out of camp, especially some of those bombs from Stafford. And so when you see that, you're like, oh, like maybe Tutu's really taking the leap, and he would be kind of in that number 3 role. And as you mentioned, Jacob Harris, that's someone that we can definitely look to who has high upside. Something that I love though is that we don't have to have a conversation about trying to sign a third wide receiver. I mean, the Odell thing is still out there, and I'm optimistic that's going to happen. But if it does, he's not playing until at earliest November. So I love that we can look in our own locker room and be like, all right, there's guys that can step up here.
Yeah. My only take on our wide receiver depth chart is that if there's any big move that I would have to make to our wide receiver depth chart, the first thing I'm doing is I'm getting rid of Ben Skowronek. That's just me. I wouldn't, out of all of our receivers, I would immediately get rid of Ben Skowronek. He had so many key drops in the playoffs that were just so, I don't want to say they were so simple to catch, but you definitely could have caught those. Like
there were some ones that, like, if you're going to be an NFL wide receiver, you got to make those catches.
Yeah, you have to catch that, Skowronek, and it wasn't a good look for him. But after this season, if he does that again, there's really no point in keeping him on the team. He's done that twice in a row now, and that's just not good.
I think the one play that makes me optimistic towards Ben Skowronek, and this is the only one, is back to the Baltimore game last year on the game-winning drive. Cooper Kupp, the Ravens had covered him. Skowronek got open, and I actually think Ben Skowronek actually is a decent route runner. I just think that his hands are not reliable. But he had a nice grab to get the first down and keep the drive alive. And so you love seeing that. You love seeing that. And again, optimistic that he's still a young player, and young players get better sometimes.
That is true, but and sometimes it takes them a while. Josh Allen took 3 years to do it, but Ben Skowronek, he's done a lot less than Josh Allen from a quarterback to wide receiver ratio.
Well, and the reality is Ben Skowronek was a 7th round draft pick that it's pretty easy to cut him if he doesn't improve,
especially after this season.
Yeah, so that's something to watch for sure. There was a question in here from Grandizer that I'm sorry I missed because it was a good question. I'll bring up the question, but it had to do with the NFL draft. Did you like the Rams draft, and what were some of your favorite picks from it?
Oh, yeah, I did see the question. It was, okay, right here. Did we ask Rams Insider, is there a draft pick that he really loved or he wanted that the pick in the 22? Okay, yes. So all the picks that I wanted, the Rams already got. I love the Logan Bruss pick. That has got to be the most smart decision that they've made. However, I don't see the point in drafting Kyron Williams. That's my only hot take. I know a lot of people, when I posted that video on Kyron Williams getting drafted, a lot of people said it was for the depth chart. That's fine. But is he going to be of use when the season begins? Is he going to be of use after the preseason when we're in the playoffs? You never know. But as of right now, he's like a number 3-4 running back, and we already have Darrell Henderson. Cam Akers is stronger than ever, and he's bouncing back from an injury. So you have more to deal with than drafting a running back for depth. And I think we could have drafted 2 linemen instead of just 1 and getting a running back for the depth chart. So I think that if we want to go to the wanted, I wanted 2 linemen instead of 1. But the Logan Bruss pick, one of the smartest decisions. We needed an O lineman.
Yeah, no, I agree with that Logan Bruss pick, and I think that the late round running back seems to be a staple in the McVay era. He's drafted since he's been the head coach. We've drafted at least 1 running back every draft, and maybe that's a kind of insurance policy thing of you always feel like your running backs are going to miss at least 1 or 2 games a year, if not more. And so you always want to have someone who's healthy, that you're always constantly developing, right? So, but yeah, no, I agree with you. It was kind of a pick that none of us really predicted.
I wasn't expecting it.
Do you guys have any free agents that you believe the Rams should pick up due to their very limited cap? Well, obviously we've talked about OBJ. I honestly right now, I guess there's the argument that if someone becomes available as a corner, you can never have enough good corners. But off the top of my head, I'm pretty content with the Rams roster going into the season. Is there any position you wouldn't mind seeing them kind of pick up a veteran or something like that?
Not that I know right now, but if there's corners, like you said, if there's corners that are in free agency, I would definitely like them to see them pick it up. As of right now, I'm very happy with our Rams roster, offense and defense. But, there's always room to pick up new players if needed. But right now, I don't think we should pick up any players because we're very limited on the amount of money and the cap space that we have right now. So I don't think you should just waste your money just because we can get extra players in. Now keep the cap space that we have and move forward in the season. If we feel like that we need help, release some people if needed so we can get more cap space and then sign someone who's worth more money. But as of right now, I'm very happy with our roster. I don't think we need anybody right now.
Yeah, I'm just looking up here quick. It's been a while since I looked. Okay, so in terms of big names that are available, there's actually some interest. So there's D Ford who got released maybe that, but I don't think that Kansas. I don't think anyone's going to pick him up just because of injuries. Nate Soldier, Landon Collins, the safety. Trey Waynes is a corner. So yeah, maybe Trey Waynes. And then Jason Pierre-Paul is a pass rusher, defensive end. He's available. So that might be interesting there. But I don't think that there's a huge need right now for the Rams to pick anyone up. Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah. BJ, thank you very much. Yeah, loving the jersey. Sup, Johnny? Huge LA Rams fan. Love it. Love it. Buddy Gas. He's saying, let's go Rams. Yeah.
Let's go.
Buddy brings up a good point. Cam Akers will be crucial this season. And you mentioned that he, healthier than he's ever been. What are your expectations for Cam Akers this season? And it looks, by all intents and purposes, it looks like he is our lead back.
He is our lead back. And I expect a lot from Cam. Not a lot to the point where it's unreachable. I don't expect him to hit 1,000 yards just because of how heavy our pass game is. But I do expect him to reach around 700 to 800 rushing yards because he got 600 and then gets injured. So imagine he's better than last year. He's coming off of an injury, so he wants to prove himself. He's more determined than he was last year, and he's a sophomore. So I think for sure he's going to top 600 and plus 600 yards. I think he's going to get more touchdowns. But I would have to say realistically, I think he's going to hit around mid 700s to 800s. 900 if we pass less and give it to Cam Moore, but then we could tire him out. It's a lot of things that you have to balance into being a really good running back or up-and-coming running back. I would say about 700 to 800 yards and around 5 touchdowns.
Okay. Yeah. I think we've kind of learned that McVay operates a running back by committee and he goes with the hot hand. And Darrell Henderson, he's someone that can play well. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's a game where Henderson is the hot hand, he has a better game than Akers. I do think more so than not, Cam Akers is going to be the lead back. And if you're talking fantasy, probably Akers is the better draft pick than Darrell Henderson. But I could see them both having good games. Willie said Tyler Higbee, Kendall Blankton should have a great reception yardage and touchdowns this season. Yeah, what are your thoughts on our tight end room?
Tyler Higbee, I'm really confident in. I think that Tyler Higbee is underused to a certain extent. Kendall Bland, I'm not the most worried about because we haven't really used him even when he's been on the field. He did have a touchdown. Well, I think it was in the Buccaneers playoff game that he got a touchdown. I'm not sure, but he's okay. As for Tyler Higbee, though, I expect him to use Tyler more. At the times where he's been on the field, in the 49ers game, he dogged up the corner. He's really good as a receiver. I don't think we should move into the wide receiver room because he's too big to be a receiver. And 2, I think he's more fit as a tight end. He's done more as a tight end. I think he's a decent blocker. I think that Tyler Higbee is an all-around good to mid-range tight end. I think he's done a good amount for the Rams, and I just really wish they would use him more. I feel like he's underused.
Yeah, and I very much agree with that I think Tyler Higbee has even like the potential to be a top 5 tight end. If he's not there already, just people don't talk about him because he doesn't necessarily win you fantasy leagues. But every now and then he could have like a 3 touchdown game, but then the very next week he's just like blocking all the time, and you need that from your tight ends as well. Hello, Amelia Sports Report. Good to see you. Glad you're coming on in. Let's see. Caden asks, Kareem Hunt is demanding a trade. What do you think about that? I feel like we don't need any more running backs with Darrell Henderson and Cam Akers. I feel like they are set. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the Kareem Hunt trade rumors? And do you think the Rams should get in on that?
I saw on Twitter. I saw that Kareem Hunt was unhappy with his contract and that he wanted a contract extension. But I don't think we're going to get him for two reasons. One, I don't think he's needed in LA. Two, when he requested a trade, he already got denied the same day. So so he's stuck on the Browns whether or not he likes it. But do we need Kareem Hunt? No. Would it be nice to have him though? Yes.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. And I think that like I don't think the Rams are in a position where they would need to like go out of the way. Like if they were to trade for him, it would be because it was just a really good trade deal that Cleveland wanted to trade him to a team in the NFC instead of the AFC. But I like if the trade happened, I'd be like, okay, didn't see this coming. But I guess it's another weapon. I'm not actively hoping for it though.
Yeah, I'm not the most excited about it if it happens, but it'd be nice to have a really good running back.
Yep. Yeah. You never have enough weapons. What is the status of Jacob Harris? And as far as you and I both know, he's healthy and competing in camp.
He's back from a groin injury, but that was only for a few weeks. He should be fine now.
True. Yeah. Let's see. Ramelia. Love that McVay is using Brandon Powell on jet sweeps and passing situations in camp. Maybe McVay listens to our live streams on the end. One thing is Brandon is very valuable as a kick returner. Yeah, we talked a little bit about Powell before, and I guess that's something that is exciting to see. He's been a journeyman player his whole career, and it's always exciting when you see those journeyman players find a team that they find a role in, and for Brandon Powell, he absolutely found a role as our ace kick returner. Like, he's one of the best kick returners we've had in the past decade. But what are your thoughts? If Brandon Powell were to, be used more on jet sweeps and passing situations in the regular season?
I think that's one of his keys besides being a kick and punt returner. He has the speed just like Tutu. He has the agility. He's very small, just like Tutu. So I think he's probably going to be able to manage himself through the D, and he's probably going to manage himself through the corners and secondary. He's definitely going to get past the defensive line because jet sweeps, you're not even close to the defensive line. You're going around everybody. So I think Brandon Powell and Tutu Atwell are going to be the most reliable on jet sweeps. And as we've seen, Robert Woods, when he went jet sweeps, he wasn't the smallest, he wasn't the fastest, but he was a strong, heavy hitter. So Robert Woods was able to get there with pure strength. Whereas Tutu and Brandon, you're getting there with pure speed and agility. So I think that the more reliable situation would be to have Tutu because I think Tutu's faster, but maybe Brandon at the same time because I think Brandon is more experienced, which he is, and I think he's a little bit more talented than Tutu when it comes to plays like that specifically.
Absolutely. We got some great comments coming in here. This one here, SM. Do you think the Rams might make a move for defensive end Robert Quinn from the Bears either before the season or mid-season? Ooh, interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, what has Robert Quinn done in like the past 5 years?
So he had a huge season last year.
He had a huge season, but let's let the years before that, he hasn't gotten over 10 sacks in the past 4 or 5 seasons before his season last year. Last year he blew up. Like, he was crazy last season. But what position was he put in? He was put in as a D. Well, he was D number one, of course, blowing up that hard. But can he do the same if he's constantly swapping teams? Can he get used to a scheme that fast where he can just do that over and over and over? Or is he just really good on the Bears? Or if he comes to the Rams, is he going to be decent? Robert Quinn, I think, is an okay defensive end. But for him, if he could blow up like that on the Rams, there's no case that the Rams defense won't be number one. But at the same time, let's say Robert Quinn did blow up like that if he came to the Rams. What contract would we give him? He can't get a multi-million-dollar contract because he's over 30 by a long shot, and he has the potential, but not the potential where I can give him a 6-year contract. It's not going to happen. So I think that if we did have him, maybe it's going to be like a 1 or 2 year contract because it's not worth it.
Yeah, I think if we made a move for him, it'd be similar to the Von Miller trade of last year. And just to put things in perspective, I had to look at because like Robert Quinn, he is someone that can wreck a team. He's very talented defensive. So like when he had his 19 sack season when he was with the Rams in 2013. He was with the Cowboys for 1 year and had an 11.5 season. And then last year he had 18.5, almost tying his career high. But he definitely, he's someone that, I think if you get him at the right price, it's absolutely worth it. And so SM, I think to answer your question, if the Bears season starts to tank like fast, right? And it's clearly they're in a rebuild, which you already kind of feel that is the case. And if, last year the Broncos just wanted to accumulate draft capital. They knew that Von Miller was going to leave after that season anyway. So they traded him to us. Von Miller helped us win the Super Bowl. It was awesome. So I think what SM is referring to is if that same situation happens with the Bears, where the Bears are trying to get, draft capital and they have a player who would be an asset to a contender, maybe that might not be crazy for the Rams to go and get Robert Quinn in the right situation for the right price.
Yeah, that's very possible. And the fact that we know the Rams are very open to getting veteran help. We are one of the most consistent teams in signing veterans because usually the veterans are always worth it when we sign them. And to get Robert Quinn next to Greg Gaines, next to Aaron Donald, and next to Leonard Floyd, next to Ernest Jones, next to Bobby Wagner, like do you see the pattern that I'm making
all
right
the
now?
Names you're listing off here that'd be terrifying to be the offensive line.
But then we need Robert Quinn to make that same value. He needs to give us the value that we've seen on the Bears.
Yeah, and again, I go back to the Von Miller trade. Part of the trade, the reason that trade happened is the Broncos ate up the majority of his cap hit last season. Like I think the Rams only paid him like $900,000 last year, and it was worth it because he helped to win the Super Bowl, and you wish you could have re-signed him, but well, didn't happen. But yeah, so if there's a similar trade scenario, I could see the Rams trading for Robert Quinn mid-season. That's an interesting take. Are you guys excited to see any of the USFL players the NFL picked up? I know the Rams picked up quarterback Luis Perez, more so as a camp arm, nothing more than that. But did you track the USFL at all?
No, I haven't checked I've only checked the USFL maybe twice in the times that I've looked at it. But Luis Perez, nothing more than a camp, I guess, the practice squad. I mean, there's really nothing you can do with a USFL players. Plus, I'm not the most confident in bringing people from completely different leagues into the NFL and just having them play. I want to see what they're about first. I want to see them in training camp. I want to see them in the preseason, and then I'll make an evaluation then. But as for USFL, I haven't really looked into it a lot, but I'm not the most confident in just letting people from different leagues play.
Yeah, I'm one of those things, like the USFL players are players who either never got a shot in the NFL or they got cut from the NFL. So I can always pull for someone to have kind of that story and achieve that dream of playing in the NFL. I honestly view signing someone from the USFL the same way I would view signing an undrafted free agent, right? Like I guess the advantage is you can look up highlights from the USFL and you can see that you maybe wouldn't get with a free agent, so to speak. But I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm like, oh man, we got someone from the USFL, we're gonna win. Like I don't get that excited about it. But it's BJ, if you watch the USFL and you get excited about seeing some of your favorite players from that league in the NFL, good on you. Yeah, cheer on those players. Caden saying it might sound like I'm a Rams fan, but I'm a Lions fan. Oh, the reason I like going into interest with the Rams because of Stafford, and I like learning about what he's around and how he will do. Oh, very cool, Caden. Well, appreciate you popping on in and giving your take there. We'll take a couple more questions. We are coming to the end of the stream here, but Rams Insider, this has been so fun. But can you maybe let our viewers know, where can they? Obviously, the link to your channel is in the description below. But do you have any plans for this NFL season with your channel that you want to announce to people at all?
So I do plan to live stream for the games. I don't know if I want to live stream for like when the game is actually happening, but I do want to live stream for the after, like not the after party, but the results of the game afterwards. I want to live stream those because I feel like a lot of people are so into the game that they probably wouldn't click on my stream unless I was like showing the game on stream or showing my live reaction to the game. But I don't want to like interrupt people when they're trying to watch the game. So I feel like I want to record after. And at the same time, I really want to start finding more collabs when the season starts, because majority of the time I've been on YouTube, I haven't collabed with a lot of people. Obviously, I've collabed with you. I've collabed with 49ers Ultimate Report, the NFC West Network. I've collabed with those few people, and I've collabed with people that are connected with John Jay. So I've collabed with a few 49ers YouTubers, a few Rams, but there's still people I want to collab with. Like I'm dying to collab with the Rams house. I have to find a way to collab with him. It's one of my biggest goals. So I wanted to do that. Live streaming is not really my main thing, but I do plan on posting a lot more, and hopefully we can get to 1,000 subs so I can finally have some room to catch up with Powell, because he's so far ahead of me. I don't know how I'm going to catch up with him, but I'm on the way. I'm on the way, and I plan to be one of the biggest Rams content creators because I'm up there. I'm getting up there. We've gotten at least 60 to 70 subs in the past 3 days, so it's going on fire. And to be here on Powell Times channel again is just another blessing. So I plan to do a lot more when the season starts.
That's awesome, man. I'm seeing a couple of things here in the chat saying Kareem Hunt. I think that you guys are predicting that, or I'm not seeing any news.
Yeah, I have Twitter notifications on. I haven't seen anything.
I know I'm not seeing anything, so I'm just double checking here because if that happens, the stream's going a little bit longer.
I don't see anything.
I'm only seeing speculation about it. Nothing is saying that it happened. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. You guys are scaring me when you say stuff. Oh, you're predicting. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I see. You guys have me checking Ian Rappaport's Twitter. I don't say
anything. People, when you comment stuff like that when we're live streaming, it gets us all nervous. But is it happening? But Rams Insider, this has been a blast, man. It's been great having your channel. Best to you, and if you're watching, make sure to go give them a sub, and look forward to seeing more of what your content is in the future. Granddad's just asking does Rams Insider drop short vids of infos? Yeah, absolutely. That's what he does.
Yeah, my videos are usually like 1 minute to 5 minutes. There's really very rarely any times where my videos are over 5 minutes, but I just dropped 2 shorts that are like 4 seconds, 5 seconds. So yeah, they're very short. If you guys don't like looking at long videos, they're pretty majority of them are short videos.
Yeah.
Oh, and also he asked me if I lived in LA. No, I'm not even close to LA.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I know. I joke how like the Ramelia Sports Report, he's probably like the only Rams YouTuber that's actually in LA. Because you look at like Rams House, Rams Showcase, or Jake Ellenbogen, or like Duval County Ram, like all the Rams content creators don't live in LA.
Yeah, I'm on the whole other side of the US, man.
Yeah. But anyway, Rams Insider, stick around, and everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have an awesome evening. We're getting close. Stay tuned for more content. Friendly reminder, the charity live stream. We're going to be doing an 8-hour charity live stream September 8th, talking football all day long. I'm taking the day off work. I'm stoked. And we're going to be raising money for food insecurity around the world. So please join me that day. As always, go Rams and have a great day.